right, well, good morning, and today we have Dan and Joe Stampone with us on the podcast, and thank you guys both for coming and talking to the Satnick Foundation, the Satnick Real Estate.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, excited.
Joe, we'll start with you. You have a connection with Wildwood Crest. You own a house there. When did you fall in love with Wildwood Crest and the beach?
I think I fell in love with Wildwood Crest when I was about 5 years old. My grandmother on my mother's side, the Kramer side of the family, always rented houses in the Wildwoods. We started out in North Wildwood, moved to Wildwood Crest. We used to stay at 6500 Pacific Avenue in a property owned by the Alfieri family. Do you know the Alfieris? Mm-hmm. Very big in real estate. They were actually from Wilmington. They were car dealers. Probably owned, 10 or 15 rental properties throughout the Crest. And we became very close friends. And just my memories go back to, being a kid running around on Pacific Avenue. Great memories. The boardwalk, Sabatini's Pizza, Hunt's Pier, you name it. It was, they're just great memories.
And Dan, obviously with your dad having a house at the beach, you escaped Philadelphia, come down, you have children.
Of course.
Yep. Same for you.
Yeah, same for me. The Wildwood Crest has always been the place where our family has gathered from, before I can remember until today. There's 15 people there every weekend, and it's just, it's home base for us these days. So, yeah, really special place.
All right.
I wish there were only 15. The grandkids keep coming. The numbers keep rising.
That's what makes the memories, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Joe, you've invited us up to the Christmas party for the law firm up in Philadelphia at Great Steakhouse. Family, employees, friends. How did Stampone Law get its start?
Wow. Going back to 1984, I started out working for a judge, Judge Al Sabo, as a law clerk right out of law school. And it's kind of an interesting story. Might be a little bit long. Judge Sabo had a secretary who worked for a private attorney, and she asked me if I was interested in doing some work for the private attorney, which I said, sure, that'd be great. After a couple of years with the clerkship, I went full-time with the attorney, and we were just speaking about Frank Rizzo, this particular man who I'll call, his first name was Tony, but I'll call him Tony Baloney. He was the executive director of the Philadelphia Pension Board under Frank Rizzo. And I went to work for Tony, and he was basically a solo operator and spent most of his time running the pension board. So I started running his practice as a novice attorney. One day he gets in a confrontation with a client, gets punched, hits the ground, hits his head on a curb, winds up in Jefferson Hospital, comatose, for the better part of 6 months. And here I am. I'm, at the time, I guess I'm like 27 years old, only practicing for 6 months. And all of a sudden, I've got to run this firm. We've got trials coming up, depositions, all the things I wasn't really that experienced at doing, but I handled it. Did a great job for him. He recovers, semi-recovers. And I get a phone call from him from his executive director position one day, and he says, Joe, I think you've been stealing from me, and I want you out of my office in 2 weeks. And my immediate response was, Tony, I'll be out in 2 hours. So I called my wife. I said, I just got fired. I've got my daughter Nicole and Pete were probably 5 and 3 at the time. I've got a mortgage. I don't have anywhere to go, but being the kind of tough street guy that I was, I said, you know what, I'm out of here. I took my files, I left, and started shop in a little building that my father owned next to our childhood home, and really went from there. So that's like 1984. Yeah, so we're 40 plus years now. And the firm's been, there's been a number of iterations of the firm, number of different partners, all non-equity partners. I've always been the equity partner. 40 years later, here we are with 17 attorneys now and growing. So it's been a great trip.
So Dan, you grew up with law, attorneys. You made a decision at what point that you were going to continue to be in the business.
And I do want to get to that, but first I just want to comment on the founding of our firm and
Yeah.
my father's competitive spirit, and that's one thing that I've truly always admired about him. You know, when you're starting any business, but especially law firms where it's really, really competitive, you know, you just drive down any highway, you're going to see 90% billboards for personal injury firms like ours. You know, when you start that business, it's not on easy mode, it's not level one, it's not a video game. You know, right away you are competing against legacy firms who've been in business for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They've got their teams built out, their client base, their brand, their marketing, they're spending millions of dollars in advertising. And to go up and compete against those guys and incrementally get to the point where we are today, where we're out-competing those same firms, is really special, and that only happens with the competitive spirit, the entrepreneurial nature that my father has, and his willingness to do the things that other people are unwilling to do. For me, though, I always had that model to make myself up after. You know, when I finished when I finished college, I started working a couple days for my uncle, who was heavily involved in athletics. He was working for the Philadelphia Big Five then. So I was spending 2 or 3 days covering sports, which is, you know, my passion, and 2 or 3 days occasionally in the office. And I found myself enjoying my time doing law more than doing sports, which was really shocking to me. And that's when I knew, it's like, okay, you know, if I'm going to dedicate my time and money to go to law school, which is a big commitment, you know, I want to make sure it's the right thing. And you know, by actually going out there and doing it, I gained that confidence, and it became a no-brainer for me. And I'm so glad I made that decision.
As am I.
Well, it's cool to watch how you guys have integrated into our community and how we've meshed together. And you're inspirational to us because you're out there behind your tables at all these events. And yes, you are sponsoring many of the same things that we do, but you're out there shaking hands. And being involved in the community not only leads to potential relationships that lead to business, but it also creates goodwill and give back, which we all feel is very important for many different reasons.
It's been a very natural partnership with you guys. We're thrilled to be involved.
Yeah, it's interesting. As Dan was talking there with our brokerage, the competition with real estate, I'm sure, is similar to practicing law. And my brother leads with example to, you know, yes, real estate is important, but he always says, and he reiterates this to all the agents that sign on to become agents with our brokerage, is, you know, real estate's kind of second. It's about networking and contacting and doing the right thing. And obviously, like you mentioned, Dan, driving down the Atlantic City Expressway, there's a lot of personal injury advertisement. I always drive down the AC Expressway and say, where's Stampone? You don't need it, right?
We do it a different way.
You do it a different way, and that's what I feel like Todd has done with real estate as well. Is, you know, there's a lot of competition. People claim we churn the most amount of property transfers, and Todd kind of sits back humbly, and the numbers speak for themselves. So, you know, it's a interesting combination with real estate and attorneys because, like you said, the competition's there.
Undoubtedly, yeah, we try and do good by doing right, and I see the same thing on your end.
And leading into the sports sponsorships has been exciting for us because having been swimmers our whole lives and friends who produce sporting events like Stephen Del Monte, it was natural integration for us to sponsor some things that Delmo has done, which we've done together. And it's kind of cool because everybody has a story at these events. And most of the athletes we see are not Olympians. And there have been Olympians that have attended many of the things that we're involved with. However, everybody has a personal story. So listening and learning about each person's challenges as to why they may sign up for something, that's exciting and super humbling as well.
That's exactly right. I mean, we get calls every single day from people who have been catastrophically injured. They're in the worst position of their lives. They've got kids they can't play with. They've got jobs they can't attend. They've got bills piling up. So for us to go and support those same people in their competitive pursuits when they're actually healthy and able to go out there and do that is really important to us.
Yeah, and speaking about competition, Joe, you were into the LaSalle College Hall of Fame
Yeah, very recently. It took them long enough. I feel like Richie Allen. I think it took 40 years to get Richie Allen in.
I mean, tell us a little bit of history with people that don't know your sports. I mean, that's the competitive drive that you can transfer to the law firm. But tell us about your sports history.
Dan and I talk about this all the time, and we always look to hire the athlete because of that natural, intuitive ferocity, I'll call it. And you really do need a ferocity in the practice of plaintiff's personal injury work. But yeah, I played sports all my life. Played football and baseball and track in high school, and then went on to LaSalle University to play baseball. Was a pretty good baseball player. Set a number of individual records and career records at LaSalle, and it was nice to be finally recognized recently and be inducted into their Hall of Athletes. That was quite an honor. I've just stayed involved with athletics all my life. We've had a number of our employees who have been really terrific athletes. I don't know if you ever met my nephew Tyler. That's Fred's son. Also a great athlete at Germantown Academy. Then William and Mary. Played baseball in the Orioles organization for 3 years, and then had an injury that prevented him from moving on, and went to law school. And it's just great to see that kind of person come into the firm and have that drive and that intensity, discipline, all the things that you need to be a good plaintiff's personal injury attorney are embodied in the athlete. And by the way, the Doberman pinscher.
Okay, we were going to get to that. You mentioned that. That is the
that's our logo.
Your logo.
Yeah.
And that is specific for the.
Yeah, that's where it started. I had Dobermans. Fred's had Dobermans. We just love the breed. And when I was rebranding the firm, we were trying to come up with a logo. And I actually think our marketing company, Hyper Design, said, "Hey, I know you love Dobermans." He started reading me the various attributes that are attributable to the Doberman, and it was like everyone nailed what you need to be a good plaintiff's attorney. And I told some of the people in the office we're going to have a Doberman on a shield on our logo, and they all kind of looked at me like I was crazy. And now everyone loves it, so it's become very recognizable.
We have a family blinds and shades business, and we did some work for Wayne Simmons up in Haddonfield, and he had a 130-pound Doberman,
right.
And walking into that house was
intimidating
to say the least. But it was a very calm, well-trained Doberman,
right.
And you could just tell that that is a symbol of that iconic strength and back to the competition. My brother is challenging 8-year-old girls to push-up contests. So, you talk about in the office, the competition in real estate is, I'm sure, similar to law practice as well.
My niece, Nora, challenged me to get that straight. I don't go challenging younger kids.
You did accept the challenge, though.
Oh, yes, I did, and I lost.
Never back down.
You lost?
I lost to a 9-year-old woman.
Yeah. She was probably pushing up 40 pounds, though.
She's a gymnast and dancer, and she's very strong.
Okay.
You were doomed from the start.
Joe, you had actually shared with me at one of the events one of your first cases with the law firm with a racquetball.
Oh, God.
I really like that story. If you're comfortable sharing that.
Sure. Boy, that really goes back. That involved one of my really good friends, Walter Rose, a guy who I grew up with, and every Friday night we used to play racquetball at the Northeast Racket Club in Northeast Philly. And I was a fledgling lawyer. I probably had only passed the bar, 6 months earlier. And the key as a plaintiff's lawyer when you're working for someone else is you got to get cases. I mean, that's the only way to really make a fee, because typically, a plaintiff's firm will provide a commission to the attorney who's the lead attorney sourcing the case, much like real estate. And we were out one Friday night playing racquetball. I think my brother Fred was involved, 4 of us. And Northeast Racket Club, for whatever reason, decided that it was a good idea to let you know that your time was up by shutting the lights off while you were hitting a ball 100 miles an hour. And Walt took one in the eye, and my camera came out as soon as I got him back to my apartment. You know, they didn't have cameras on phones. We didn't even have cell phones then. But I documented that injury, and Northeast Racket Club got sued, and that was one of my first settlements. So, good story.
And that's a case that has been reiterated so many times at our firms and locker rooms and daycares, and still to this day, I don't know why people continue to shut off the lights when people are within their facilities, but it continues to happen.
Dan, how about you with a case early on that
Man,
has good memories? I guess is the question.
Yeah. You know what? One that comes to mind, just because he was such a great guy and had such a positive attitude, is it's a guy named was working in a warehouse, and he lost his leg in a construction accident with a forklift, and very similar to you, Chad. The way he responded to that injury has been so inspiring. He has been recognized by the Philadelphia Eagles at halftime and various other organizations just for the positive impact he continues to make with other people in his community, and that have suffered similar injuries. So that's one that comes to mind, just because that's what it's all about, is taking a terrible moment and trying to turn it into as big a positive as possible, and that's something did.
So as real estate agents, we're often sort of pseudo-psychologists or psychiatrists at times. I guess not psychiatrists, but we're often helping people with challenges, and you have to guide them and coach them along. But with your style of work, many people are faced with accident situations, and there is what if I didn't go through that green light and get hit by that other vehicle? So do you find yourselves in situations like that where you're not just legal counsel, you're also helping people with providing guidance in that fashion?
Yeah, we're always providing more than just legal advice. We try to become, maybe friends the wrong word, but we try to become someone that they can rely on and they can trust. When someone suffers a traumatic and catastrophic type of injury, they come in with a lot of baggage. Especially if it's the breadwinner in the family, and they have children and they have a mortgage and bills to pay. So there's a lot of stress and a lot of difficulty in their life, and you have to be sensitive to that. You have to be able to deal with that and not just be about the case itself. Obviously we're hired to have a recovery for them. But they require a lot more than that. So, a lot of times you're guiding them just on their medical care. Sometimes they don't have access to the right doctors, and you have to, provide your access to them. So there's a lot of moving parts when someone comes in with a catastrophic injury, and I think we do a pretty good job at managing them.
And looking forward and being positive about that path versus looking back and questioning, well, what if things were different?
Right.
Maybe touched on this already, but motivation to show up every day. What drives you to the office? What kind of brings you back every day as a personal accident attorney?
For me, it's simple. It's the guy right next to me and the little kids and wife that I go home to every day. When I was a young kid, I wanted to be one of two things growing up. I either wanted to be a professional athlete or a lawyer. Who doesn't want to be like their dad? And I saw so much that he sacrificed for us and our family. I saw how challenging the job was at times, and for me to be able to come in and try and give that back, and thank him every day with my best effort is really important to me. And same thing applies to my kids. I got into this job because I want to give my kids the same life that my dad gave me, and that's all the motivation I need. Simple.
Yeah, my motivation has always been the same, to provide for my family. Interestingly enough, now that my family is grown and we're concentrating on grandchildren, I'm motivated by where the firm has gotten and the evolution of the firm and where we can be. All the while understanding that getting to that level is going to not only provide for all the families that are part of our team, but enable us to do other good things, such as your foundation does, the Satnick Foundation, and the higher plateau that we can get to. I think the more people we can help, aside from just representing them, as plaintiffs.
Well, we love seeing inspiring people like yourself that potentially financially don't have to go to work every day, but you're in the field every single day. I had a long talk with your brother, Fred, at our paddle a couple months ago, and your desires to grow the company at this point by bringing in more focused marketing and media specialists to help the company help more people in the community. And that's just the big cycle, because that allows you to do more things in the community.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool to watch a company that's been in existence for a lot longer than our real estate brokerage, and we try to emulate businesses like yours, because you keep getting back, you don't stop, you're not retiring, and you're looking to scale and just do more.
We just had this conversation the other day about how, with these great results that we're getting, we can do so much more for the community, for our staff, for our clients. It means the world to us.
Yeah, mentioning charity events, you're affiliated with the Superhero Project, yes?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with that and what that, they have a huge fundraiser, Black Tie Optional, up in Philadelphia. And again, how was your involvement with that?
The Superhero Project is one of the most fantastic organizations I've ever witnessed. My involvement actually started through a very good friend of mine, Bob Burke, guy who I grew up with, Philadelphia cop, became a detective. His daughter, Kelly, Philadelphia school teacher. She had twins who wound up in the NICU for a number of months. And after the birth of the children, she was just inspired to start a charity. And it went from, she just blew it up in a matter of years. The whole essence of what they do, helping the most vulnerable, it just goes right to your heartstrings. But she has taken that charity to a level that I couldn't imagine. She could probably stop being a teacher and should just spend full time on the charity. You've mentioned the gala that she has every year. They sell out 600 tickets, literally, Chad, in 15 minutes. As soon as it hits the online, they're gone. And they just do huge things. Personally, we've had some grandchildren. Two of my grandchildren have been in the NICU, so that made it particularly important to me. And we've become the name sponsor of that event, and plan on continuing to be involved. I'm actually a board member. Up until only about 3 months ago, I was the only male board member with 20 or 25 45-year-old women. So it's been an interesting journey with them, and we're going to stay involved.
Yeah. Well, your reach is pretty extensive right now. You're based in Philadelphia.
Yep.
You have an office in Wildwood Crest.
Yep.
And we're sort of doing the opposite from our brokerage level, where we now have offices at the Jersey Shore, and we're venturing across the state line into Philadelphia. But more importantly, the reach from our foundation, the Satnick Foundation, going further up the coastline and expanding beyond just Cape May County, has allowed us to help more people. Mm-hmm. And based that on business, our contacts allow us to get connected to more people to expose what we do. So expand on how you guys have like a geography or a turf that allows you to go way beyond your little hometowns.
Yeah,
areas.
Yeah, first just want to comment, I did see your billboard the other day, I think from shoreline to the skyline. I love that. I can't believe we didn't come up with that before, but yeah, love that.
Our media specialist Connor, who's sitting off camera, gets credit for that.
Yeah. Well, the reality is that these communities that we work in and we're involved in have given so much to us, and it's just important to give back to them. So whether it's the Jersey Shore, Philadelphia, up into the Poconos now, we're trying to get out there and, like I said before, do good by doing right.
Well, Philadelphia is a home for CHOP, which is basically a world-renowned NICU facility. We have friends that have flown in from Hawaii to get care there. And the Superhero Project, one of the things they do is they provide cameras for parents that can't be in the NICU full-time. They can actually check in with their nurse or their infant that is in need of care. So, I mean, that intimate personal connection is just, I guess, one of the small things that Superhero Project provides.
Yeah, that's where it really started for them with the cameras. But they provide so many services now. We were going back to you have to almost be a psychologist for some of your clients, and the Superhero Project has really become that for a lot of families. The first thing you hear from families that they've served is they could not have done it without that partnership. So they've just it's a terrific charity, Superhero Project.
Yeah, anyone who's had a family member in the NICU knows how emotionally, physically, and psychologically draining that can be. So to have those angel eye cameras in the isolates, that's what they call them, is really incredible to be able to watch your kid and be there with them, even if you're not physically next to them. Especially with a big Italian-American family like ours. When that firstborn came, Stevie Samulinski, there was probably 25 Stampones in the NICU at the window taking pictures, and it's obviously dissipated as more kids have been born. But that first one, we were all in, and it was just the same when we got home. We continued to watch them and try and be as close to them as possible.
Yeah, there's a personal connection with with CHOP and NICU down here in Cape May. 2 weeks ago, one of the participants who moved here from he grew up in Central Jersey. Their son was in the NICU, and they created a paddleboard event that was going from Cape May to Sandy Hook. And they wanted to do it in 2 days. And after the first day, they paddled from Cape May to Ocean City. And as much as they wanted to keep their ego in play, there were some injuries that occurred. And it was pretty cool to witness because a lot of the participants in our paddleboard race, lifeguards up and down the Jersey Shore, basically pick everybody up, and they paddled a section instead of the 4 or 6 original people who were going to try to go from Cape May to Sandy Hook. Everybody just piggybacked. They paddled their county, and I was talking to Tom Medvecki, who organized it, and like I said, him and Kelsey's son was in the NICU. He said it actually worked out to be more involved, more intimate, more inclusive because the grown men and the grown women couldn't make it, but then everybody looks back to what an infant in the NICU is dealing with, and it's peanuts, right? A shoulder injury or a cramp is literally peanuts versus what these month-long or 6-month or a year. But CHOP is just, like I said, a world-class facility. It's right here in Philadelphia. So for you guys to be affiliated with that, pretty special.
It's great. It's great.
It's all collaboration too, where the Medveckis created Cal's Pals, and personally, I think they had more of an impact by getting these participants to do stages versus the original group leaving Cape May in the morning at 4:30 when we shoved them off and making it to Sandy Hook. So whether it's charitable or business, the collaboration of groups, I think, becomes much more powerful, and you can create a much larger impact.
Yep.
So in addition to our foundation and Life Rolls On, which you've supported down here, and we have They Will Surf Again coming up on Sunday, and the Superhero Project, what other foundations are you supportive of in the area?
Boy, there's so many different charities. You want
Charities, sporting events, I mean,
laundry list.
It is a laundry list.
Yeah.
It's a lot of local sports, the Philadelphia Ballet. I mean, there's a lot of people that we go out there and support. I'm blanking a little bit right now, but just in as many ways as possible, we do like to support these organizations. Yeah.
We probably support 20 different athletic organizations.
Wow.
Little leagues, football, soccer. We try to provide as much help as we can to young kids who are, involved in their athletic pursuits. That's just something that's so intuitive because we enjoyed it so much as kids. And yeah, I wish I had a list of the things that we have contributed to and continue to contribute to.
Yeah.
The superhero project is probably one of the bigger ones.
Just working off the collaboration that you talked about. That's something we've done with them and with Delmo Sports, who we both are involved with and sponsor. The Women's Philadelphia Triathlon is something that we're the title sponsor for. And we were talking one day and said, hey, why would we not get them together with the Superhero Project? There's such a natural connection with the women of Philadelphia and the Superhero Project. And now they are the named charitable organization. And they've been involved for, I think, 3 or 4 years now and raise a few $1,000s every July when that event comes around. And I could see that continuing to grow.
Yeah, I think we were originally introduced through your son-in-law, Steve, who was working with Steve Delmonte from Delmo Sports. And Steve had been involved with our original race, the Cape to Cape, which was going from Delaware to New Jersey. And Steve was kind of involved on the back end. And we hired Delmo 4 years ago to basically be the race director. And it was really a natural integration of, Stampone Law and Drone One and Delmo Sports and our Desatnik Foundation, Desatnik Real Estate, but your presence at these events, what a natural progression from Superhero Project for the Philadelphia Women's Triathlon. I mean, that's just, you can't talk about organic growth better than that, right?
Absolutely. And anybody can write a check, of course, and that's fantastic. I never want to criticize someone giving money to the right organizations, but actually being there, boots on the ground, and interacting with these people and growing those relationships is, just as meaningful to us.
Yeah, Todd and I talk about that a lot with regards to sponsorships. There's businesses out there which support different organizations, different charities, and there's something to be said for the people that show up. A donation and a sponsorship obviously is greatly appreciated, but when you have the name and the face present at these events, Joe, you've been to the They Will Surf Again program. Your brother has stolen the show at Around the Cape. But just to have a name recognition, and Todd does the same thing with the real estate brokerage, presence up in Philadelphia. There's so many individuals who have houses in Philadelphia, the main line, that also have shore houses. And to have that connection, I drive by Wildwood Crest and you have a Stampone Law office down there. So it's cool to see, like Todd said, the reverse of your business and our business to grow, because there's an instant connection and the networking is really endless.
When you're at the events, it's so heartwarming because you get so many thank yous. I mean, people are really appreciative of the sponsorships, and they realize a lot of these events don't happen without the sponsorships. So, that's one of the best parts for me of being there, is you do get to interact with the direct recipients of your charity, of your contribution, and that is really the motivation to continue to do it, because you're really helping people.
And the tight-knit nature of our region,
the
Philadelphia area to the Jersey Shore, is generational. Mm-hmm. So Chad and I grew up in Cape May, and we see lots of people that could be anywhere that come to Cape May and the Jersey Shore, and it becomes generational, where these roots are so well established that you can't script the stories that we hear literally daily about people at the beach in Philadelphia. And then all these relationships expand into community give back and business, and it's relationships where we are not salespeople, we're consultants.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys mentioned Life Rolls On, and obviously we've been involved in that event for a few years, but this Sunday will be my first time actually being in the water and physically helping out, and I'm really excited about that. I just wanted to read an email I got earlier this week, and it almost felt like it was ripped out of the pages of what we've been talking about at our law firm. It says, "We are one team with one mission: to create joy where there is sadness, to prove victory is possible in any circumstance, and to build the unbreakable bond of community." And it's like word for word what we're trying to do. Like I said, we have people who call us in the worst shape of their lives, and we get to help try and put them back together and get them to the position they were beforehand, not just physically, but financially and emotionally. to prove victory is possible in any circumstance. We have taken so many cases that have been turned down by 5, 6, 7 other law firms, and we've been able to turn that into a positive for our client. And even just taking that case, whether or not we win, is so impactful to them. So, and then the last bit, to build an unbreakable bond of community. And, we're doing that here today. We're doing that this weekend. And you guys have been a big part of that, especially down here in Cape May County. So thanks to both of you.
Well, in addition to your sponsorships that we see your branding at locally, without billboards, a lot of your business comes through word of mouth and reputation, that I would assume.
Oh, that's pretty much 90% of it still comes that way.
Okay.
Dan just read something, and I received a very, very nice thank you card this week. I don't know if you're aware, but we purchased a Van Dyne race boat. We call it a race boat, which we named Lady Justice for the Wildwood Crest Lifeguard Patrol. And I picked the mail out of the mailbox, I guess it was Tuesday, and there's a card in there addressed to me. And here's what it says. It feels like I went from a Corolla to a Ferrari. Long live Lady Justice. Then it went on to say, Mr. Stampone, I wanted to express my thanks as the rower of the Wildwood Crest Beach Patrol for the donation of the new boat. After 10 years of rowing, that gift has been the best part of all the competition this year. Without your generosity, my first win may have not happened. Thank you, Jake Klecko. Those thank yous they're everything.
Yeah, I just got chills. Todd and I were on the Beach Patrol in the early 90s, and Buddy Johnson was the chief then.
Yep.
And my kids go over to Wildwood Crest. They're involved with Ocean Outfitters Surf Camp, and your grandkids have been there before.
Yep.
And to see Buddy cruising on the ATV, we grew up with Captain Buzzmoke over in Cape May, who passed away about a year and a half ago. And you see these, we talk about all the time, generational situations that just come up. And, one of Buddy's sons is out in Hawaii. He left Wildwood Crest, and it was a big deal. But Buddy Johnson is one of those individuals. I remember talking to Buddy the first year, 17 years ago, about hosting They Will Surf Again at Rambler Road. And there was no questions asked. It was just, what do we need to get this done? And that brotherhood and sisterhood with the beach patrols down here, I always say, we have these different events, and they're up in Philadelphia too, but there's beef and beers that happen everywhere. But the power of community, Danny just read this email, the power of community down here at the Jersey Shore is just, it's not like anything else. It really isn't. You see people at these different charity events and interacting and having a good time and smiling and laughing and crying, tears of joy. Yep. And the impact with the community down here. Like I said, we've traveled a lot. We've been blessed with the opportunity to travel a lot. But the community down here in South Jersey is like nothing else.
You're absolutely right. It's a special place for a lot of people. I call it my favorite place in the world, Wildwood Crest, New Jersey, and that's because of families and foundations like yours. It really is.
One sentence of advice for a younger law student?
That's simple. I say to some of my paralegals and staff that to do every single day all the little things that take no talent perfectly. And if you do that, if you're responding to phone calls, if you're polite to your staff and to your employees and everyone you're dealing with on a regular basis, everything else is going to fall into place. It really is. Just so do all those little things that take no talent every single day perfectly.
Great advice.
Joe?
Geez. It's hard to give somebody just one little piece of advice, one tidbit, but I think one of the things that has served me well is get up early, beat them to the punch, get started early and be competitive.
Even if you get laughed at, because I'm with you, and I get my chops busted because I go to bed early and I'm up early and I eat healthy, and people think that's strange, but that's the norm for many people.
Right.
I always say a lot of people see the sunset, but not a lot of people see the sunrise. Mm-hmm. And it's a really special part of the day. Ed Schneider, Beach Patrol Chief over in Wildwood, I don't know if he's ever shared this with anybody, but or anybody here, but he goes down every single morning and takes a picture of the sunrise over the Atlantic Ocean. He's up in Philadelphia. coaching and teaching. But, you know, you think about how special that sunrise is over the ocean. And we're extremely fortunate down here in South Jersey because we get sunsets over the bay. There's not many places in the country that you get sunrise and sunset over the water.
True.
Yeah, especially living on Sunset Lake, where the Stampone family has resided for a very long time. It does not get better than that. It really doesn't.
Keep Key West. They got nothing on us.
Well, Dan, Joe, Todd, thanks for coming and sitting with us today. We appreciate, first off, your presence, your sponsorships, your donations, and just overall positive mentality that you have inspired my brother and I both with the foundation and the real estate company and family life, because I think that there's a really good sense of family life that is important to you guys, and that has, like I said, that's inspired me with my immediate family. I have 2 young ones as well, so
We'll keep the relationship going.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
we always say to our clients, we want to trust their family with our family, and the same way around. And, you know, Chad, you've been inspiring. Todd, you as well. And it's just couldn't be happier to be involved with you guys.
It's a great partnership. Thank you.
Perfect.
all right.
Thanks.
Perfect. That's great.
Thanks, Connor.